Hello and welcome back to The Angry DM Plays Metroid Prime, Part 5, I guess. Yeah, I think that's what I'm on, Part 5. There's a little delay putting Part 4 up onto YouTube, but it'll be up later this evening. And in the meanwhile, we will continue where we left off. So I think last time we had gotten through Phendrana Drifts and finally located the gravity suit deep beyond the quarantine cave, deep within Phendrana. And with that, we can now explore the underwater areas of the game unimpeded. And so we're going to be going through two of the what are considered to be two of the more annoying segments of the game. Considered by many, you know what? In fact, there's certain parts of it I'm going to agree with, but you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. Oh, and we had done some backtracking because I had missed some scan data in the pirate research station, so had to go back and get it. Darabim says everybody always hates the water levels. Water levels are just the worst in every game, aren't they? I'm trying to remember a water level that wasn't awful. And just can't think of a one. So we're gonna head back the way we came last time and head back to the caves on the edge of Phendrana and kind of pick up the path where we left off. Pick up, as we call it, the critical path. You know, I use that terminology just to make myself, like, you know, sound smart. Do I actually have to deal with these guys? I think I can just leave. Oh yeah. Ha! You guys forgot to lock the door. So long, suckers. Darabim says he personally liked the water level in Ocarina of Time, but he was using a walkthrough. You know, honestly, I didn't have that much trouble with the water temple in Ocarina of Time. You know, I mean, there was a lot of backtracking to it, but you know, I mean, what do you want from the game? I mean, that's basically what, you know, Zelda is all about, you know, solving the dungeons. You know, that's how you engage with the game. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I think people make too much of this crap, honestly. Especially nowadays. Like, there was a thing that came out not too long ago. I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but it was... I think it was one of the Fine Brothers Kids React or Teens React videos. But it was basically had these kids playing the... Whoop, I kind of missed, didn't I? I wasn't locked on. So my missile just kind of went off in the distance. But I think it was kids, like, trying to play Punch-Out, or Super Punch-Out, or Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, whatever the hell it's, you know, the technical title is. And they couldn't get past Glass Joe. You know, the first fight in the game. I was like, really? I mean, that's... I don't know. I guess I shouldn't rail on people. I don't want to get all kids these days and get off my lawn, especially since I can't seem to find the door here. There it is. Yeah, have some Wave Buster. Whoop, and your little buddy too. God, I love the Wave Buster. Darabim talking about me running past the pirates. The pirates are Whoops. Ah, shit. Hey, leave me alone, Metroid. I turned off my visor. Time out. Time out. Darren's like, she went through the door into our secret base. Should we follow her? Nah, she's gone for now. Though in general, I ban anyone from the chat who's actually funnier than I am. So, I honestly don't even want to... You know what? Where the hell is the door? I'm out of here. These things just don't do enough damage for me to really care. Whoops. Okay, that was purple. Man, with the way beam weapons ricochet off the wrong door, I gotta imagine there's a lot of injuries with colorblind folks in this universe, you know? Like, if you have red, green color blindness, you can't tell the difference between a missile and a super missile door, and that super missile is coming right back at you. Alright, so now we are back on track. This is where we would have come had we just gotten the gravity suit and not realized that we had to go back and pick up a couple of pirate datas. And now we're backtracking. Still taunted by that energy tank that we can't pick up in the ice until we have a weapon that throws out some heat. Because, you know, the power beam and the wave beam and everything else, those, you know, missiles and high explosives, none of that throws out any heat. And I'm trying to think the best way to proceed here. I guess the best way is to head back to the Chozo ruins. Colorblind folks with arm cannons, not sure how large a segment of the population that represents, says Darabim. Alright, I don't know, that's very ableist of you. Are you saying that, you know, colorblind people shouldn't be allowed to have arm cannons? They can't become, you know, intergalactic space bounty hunters and stuff? Alright, yeah, so we're gonna head back through the Chozo ruins. And I think I may have taken the long way, but even these stupid flamethrowers, they don't do enough damage to me anymore for me to really care. And I don't use the ice beam very much because the rate of fire on it is just really, really slow. And my aim is not like super great. So I tend to miss with a shot, and then I have to wait to take the next shot. And, you know, honestly, I want to say that one of the cool things that Metroid Prime did with the beam weapons that even earlier Metroids, like Super Metroid, didn't do as well was, it didn't differentiate. Well, honestly, the beam weapons served a different purpose in Super Metroid, but it didn't really differentiate the weapons at all. You know, in Super Metroid, the weapons were more of a, sort of a straight upgrade, and they worked on top of each other. So you would get the charge beam, and that was a power-up to your beam weapon, and then you would get the wave beam, and then they would kind of work together. So you had the charge wave beam, and then the spazer was the spazer wave charge beam, and then the plasma beam would sit over the top of that. So they were all basically just one weapon with a series of upgrades. But this game makes your weapon choice more of an issue. In that, you know, the weapons are actually differentiated. They have positives and negatives. You know, like, the ice beam does more just outright damage, but it's slower and faster enemies tend to dodge around it. I just jumped right into that toxic gas, didn't I? I didn't even care. You know, the wave beam has a quicker rate of fire, and it's got a little bit of tracking to it, and you know, the charge beam has the fastest rate of fire, of course. And then on top of that, you have the charge up weapons, like the super missile and the wave buster and what the ice beam has. And you know, it's important. It's it sort of creates a choice, which is really neat. Like, you can pick a different weapon to suit your playstyle, or tend to focus on one weapon more than another because you play a certain way. I want to go. You know what? I could. Yeah, okay. We'll just cut back through town and Overworld West. Hey, mad adventurers, or mad adventurer. Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, so, like, I was making a couple of joke tweets the other night about, you know, the RPG lessons from classic video games, I think I called it. And I was playing the game Contra, and one of the things in the game, in Contra, the original Contra, and even to some extent, Contra 4, yeah, Contra the Alien Wars, the one that was on the Super Nintendo, was that the spread gun was just demonstrably better than every other weapon. There were just no two ways about it. You know, every other weapon was lame compared to that. So when you give someone a whole bunch, and I said, when you give someone a choice between a bunch of weapons, and one of those weapons is the spread gun, you haven't really given anyone a choice. And, you know, what I meant by that is that if you have one option that is just better than the others, then nobody is going to choose any of the other options. You might as well not even have them. Now, of course, Super Metroid dealt with that just by making every weapon an upgrade to the main weapon, and you would just have them all active, so that each one would change the way your main cannon fired. But, this game does it by actually differentiating the weapons, by giving them both positives and negatives. And it's the negatives, it's the trade-offs that mean something. And Mad Adventure was saying, it always amazes me how many people assume that your tweets are deadly serious. Yeah, I really think at this point people would start to get the joke, but whatever. But, you know, I like to think, too, that in the jokes there's a little bit of, actual useful seriousness in there. But anyway, like, the whole trade-offs on weapon types and differentiating the weapons, it sort of jumps to a gripe that I've had with the various editions of D&D for a long time. And that is that there isn't... The only way D&D differentiates its weapon types, for the most part, are in terms of the damage die. I mean, there's a few abilities, like you have weapons that have reach, and that's a thing, and, you know, two-handed versus one-handed, so there's the trade-off of, do you get to use a shield or not? But once you get past that choice, I mean, you could have, in D&D, you could have a weapon list with just maybe 5 weapons on it, and pretty much cover all of the options that D&D has. You know, because the weapons don't do anything else. I mean, I'm not looking to bring back the tables of, like, weapon speed or specific damage types versus specific armor types. And even then, like, the specific damage types, depending on the edition, they mean more or less. Like, some editions actually care more about whether or not you're using bludgeoning or slashing, and the third edition was big into that, but then you just created the setup where people were carrying golf ball bags of weapons. So it's just something that I think D&D could do a better job of. Meanwhile, now that I have the gravity suit, since, you know, Metroid, now that I have the gravity suit, I can actually cross this watery area. And more importantly, there's a... Whoops, kind of missed that jump. With the gravity suit, I'm now much more maneuverable underwater. That is, I'm not impeded by the water. And also, I have much better visibility. And this is actually going to allow me to enter a new area of the game. And if this area weren't really annoying and wasn't set up as a terrible screw job, I would really like what it does. So, I think through here. Now, you might remember that after I first came back from... Or at some point I came back from Magmore Caverns through an elevator. Or from Phendrana through an elevator. And popped up right above this area. And so this is the next natural direction that I would go in. Because, you know, this is right here. But instead what I did was I turned off and backtracked and went back to recover some other stuff. So the point is, this is the most convenient way to go before you have picked up the gravity suit. And the problem with that is that this area is a big old underwater area. And you can get pretty far into the area before the game says to you, hey, you need the gravity suit to go any further. Okay, it's not a hard gate. It's a very soft gate, because you can come down pretty deep. And why am I not spotting... Oh, there it is. Just having trouble spotting the entrance here. And the problem is, I mean, there's that little platforming segment that I just dropped down. Not really anywhere to hide from there, I just kind of have to take the damage. Come on, open up. I haven't really talked about the doors and what they do in this game yet, have I? Oh, right, this door doesn't actually open. The door has no power. So this area does this trick a lot with the finding a power conduit and energizing it with the wave beam to open the doors. To the point where I should just leave the wave beam equipped, since I like using it anyway. Oh, these are a new scan. I gotta not forget to scan, or else we'll be backtracking through here. Meanwhile, Mad Adventurer and Darabim have taken what I said about weapon types in D&D and are just kind of running with it and having a great conversation. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, you actually, there's a lot of good stuff that goes on in the chat. And, you know, I have a lot of good people who hang out in my chat and discuss all this stuff at length. So you should definitely make it a point to hang out. So anyway, now I'm here in this platforming area. And this is about the point, actually the bottom of this is where the game will let you get to. Whoops, I kind of missed the jump. And we got a new scan, the aquatic pirates, which are basically just jetpack pirates in the water level. But at this point, you get this far without the gravity suit. And you get a message that warns you, just a pop-up message on your visor that says, you know, you're going to have a hell of a time getting through the rest of this area, so you should really go look for some way to deal with the water. I think it actually just says to you, hey, go get the gravity suit. So if you've just kind of been exploring on your own, you get down to this point, and you don't have the gravity suit, and it's very natural for you to wander into this spot. And then, with your movement terribly impeded, and with no visibility, you have to make your way back up that whole platforming segment. And it's a really major, just, it's awful. I did it once out of curiosity to see how far the game would, how far I could get into this area without the gravity suit. And the answer is, this is the point. But what this area actually is, which is kind of neat, when we were on the... This is actually a crashed space pirate frigate. It's another space pirate science vessel. It's very similar to the one that you start off in at the beginning of the game. And a lot of the rooms look very similar to the rooms from the beginning of the game. So it's kind of a callback area, which is really neat. And in general, I like when games do that. You know, build on something you already know. And, oops, excuse me a second. Sorry about that. In general, I like when games build in callback areas because they... You know, the biggest thing is that they reward your familiarity. They reward your attentiveness to previous areas. So I was like, hey, you remember that? Well, now here it is, only different. Here it is, only new. The problem is this area is just obnoxious in a lot of ways. Even with the ability to move around underwater, the area itself is exceedingly linear. There's really no branching paths. There's a couple of upgrades in here, and you can get them on your first playthrough, and none of them are fairly hard to spot. And in the meanwhile, this area keeps doing that thing where you have to hunt down the power conduits to the point where I'm not even scanning the doors to tell me. I'm just gonna go ahead and find them. And there's at least two spots like... Whoops. Open up. There's at least two spots where the game does a thing where it lets you get through a nasty platforming sequence and then forces you to go back and hunt for the hunt for the conduits. So this area you might recognize if you remember the beginning of the game. I rode this diagonal freight elevator down. I already scanned those, huh? And I think... Yeah, this is... Because I don't want to do all the pain-in-the-ass backtracking, I'm doing it now. But when you get up to the top of this segment, which is a bunch of small, difficult-to-see, difficult-to-hit platforms, when you get up to the top of this area, then you discover a door that won't open until you power it up with the conduits, and then you have to come all the way back down and jump all the way back up again. And why am I having trouble finding the platforms? And even with the improved visibility from the gravity suit, it's still kind of a pain in the ass to make your way up this. And I'm going to keep the thermal visor on so that I spot the conduits. I think there are 3. Though and that's the other thing too, is that they want you to use the thermal visor to locate the conduits, but the thermal visor also makes it very difficult to spot the platforms. So it's just an all-around obnoxious sequence, and the Crashed Frigate is just full of those sequences like this. But you know what? Like, you get the sense, too, that the creators were almost aware of it. Because... Alright. Ah, shit. There's a third one, and I missed it. You know, There's definitely signs that the creators were aware that this area is a pain in the ass. Because, like I said, the first thing is that there are no branches. And, oh, I know where, the first conduit's down here. Yeah, okay. There we go. Now the door's open. But see, that's what it does to you. You get all the way to the top, and then you got to go all the way back down and search the whole area. And then climb all the way back up again. You know, and I will say the platforming controls in this game are as good as a first-person game can make them. But it's still platforming in first person. And there's still a point where, you know, this is just a little bit much to ask. But then, like I said, so you get through this area, as you're going to see, and it's a straight run. You can get everything there is to get in it pretty easily if you're just attentive. And then, because of the placement of elevators, you never have to come back through here again. Like, this area just never comes up again. So it's just a transit area. And that shows that... I mean, that to me suggests that they kind of knew that people weren't going to want to do this more than once. And, you know, I haven't had the scan visor on either, but the thing is, too, that there's not really anything interesting to scan or to find here. Oh, that's another unique creature. Only found in this area. Which is basically just a palette swap of the sentry drones. And like the other drones, it is extremely vulnerable to the Wave Buster. This is the second of the 3 pickups in this area. So, you know, like I said, story-wise, I like the callback. I like visiting this area. Oh, shit. Right. Another scavenger hunt for power conduits. But the gameplay in this area just isn't there. Fortunately, the area is short. Whoops. Oh, I gotta... Right. I gotta jump to this intermediate platform because that elevator is dead. And I also don't understand the lack of scans. Like, it would be really interesting, if I could pick up some... if I could pick up some interesting, you know, like pirate lore or what have you. You know, because it is a crashed pirate ship, but everything is powered down, so I can't even get that. Darabum says, "Sir, our drones malfunction underwater. We'll need a complete redesign." Just slap a new coat of paint on them, they'll be fine. Which is my impression of all palette swaps. What do we got? More of these drones. Oh no, it's pirates. I love the reflection of Samus's face in the visor when the lighting is just right. That is so cool. Am I not locking on? No, I'm not. Also, I don't know if you can hear it. Maybe I'll be quiet for a sec. I like how the pirates' growls and screams or shouts are also you know, like distorted by the water. I think that's a neat effect too. This game did so much in terms of immersion. And even though I'm complaining about this area, Darabum says he likes the music in this area. I do too. In general, the music in this game, you know, given what was possible at the time, I really like the music in this game overall. It really does build a good atmosphere. Out of my way, Reaper arms. And I think there is one more... Whoops. I like the pirate body floating up there. Yeah, okay, this thing. These are pallet-swapped sap sacks that are only found, I think, actually in this one little shaft. And I think we're just about coming out of it now. Yeah, okay, so go through this little area. And this area is interesting because you have these underwater updrafts. And, you know, if you, like, bomb jump or morph ball jump in them, they carry you up much higher. But there is a hidden item here if you time your bombs just right, which I just didn't do. And the trick is to drop them just before the apex of your jump. And there we go. Yeah, Mad Adventure is saying that too. He thinks the music has been pretty good throughout the whole game. Yeah, definitely. I actually started playing the sequel, Echoes. And which I have never beaten it. It's a gel zap. And the music, it very clearly tries to ape the music from this game, but it just doesn't do it as well. And I think maybe when I don't know. I don't know if when I finish this game I'm going to go ahead and do Echoes. Because I think it's a pretty weak entry in the series overall. But I really feel the need to finish it at this point. So now we are on the other side here. And as I said, we will never have to revisit the wrecked ship again. Especially because I got everything that was in it. And... And now we come to... Whoa, whoa, whoa. I got knocked off by the little pincer things. So this is Phazon, which we have heard so much about. The ancient meteor that struck Talon 4 carried Phazon in it, and the Phazon began to spread throughout the planet's structure. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, Darabim says that watching this playthrough has made me want to buy the trilogy, but it's so expensive. It is and it isn't. If you try to buy it online, it is expensive. But if you check your local GameStops and stuff, the copies they have on the shelves, if you can get lucky and get one, this one only ran me like 30 or 40 bucks. But I happened to be lucky enough to find a GameStop that had... Actually, I found two of them. One of them was I bought for a friend of mine who was also searching for it. So now we come to the heart of the Space Pirates operations here on Talon 4. This is the Phazon mine, where they have been digging into the planet, Sorry, I'm freaking out because I grabbed a cup of coffee and my controller wasn't pointed at the screen. This is where the Space Pirates have been extracting Phazon for their biological experiments. And this is... When I fought Thardus, I referred to Thardus as one of the two parts of the game that are kind of like the deal breakers for a lot of people. Thardus is a pain in the ass boss if you don't know the trick to him, and gets a lot of people to rage quit the game. But this sequence here, this segment that I'm coming into now, is basically a gauntlet. Um, we now have a long run through a whole bunch of combats and action sequences, with a long distance between the save points. They introduce a lot of new enemies here. Um, I think there's even a sub boss that you have to deal with in that. Whoops. Oh, I forgot. Where did you come from? And I fell. And I know a few people who quit playing the game at this point, just couldn't go any farther than this. Just because it is frustrating. And if you die, I mean, you go back to your last save, you know. This game does not checkpoint. I don't think I don't think I've mentioned that yet, but because the game doesn't checkpoint, if you die, you're kind of fucked, you know. And in general, the distance between the save points is pretty good. In that you don't generally end up repeating a lot of the game, but in this particular sequence, you do. Damn it, with the power conduits. Oops, scannable stuff. Yeah, this is all optional flavor stuff, and again, I'm not going to bother scanning all the optional stuff, but I think the power conduit, yeah, is right there. So this restores power to the crane, and then we can use the crane to get an optional power-up before we head into the mines proper. Darabim says he's interested in the game and he doesn't even like first-person games. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting, I guess, interesting point of discussion. Because I've seen people refer to this game as an FPS, and I don't think that's a fair classification. I don't think the fact that the game is first-person is meaningful in any way. And you know what? I mean, when you get down to it, it's actually kind of weird the way we classify video games, because we tend to classify them by their surface mechanics. You know, like oh, this is an FPS, or you know, that's I suddenly cannot think of any other genre. That's really embarrassing. But you know what I mean? Like we look at this game and we call it an FPS because you're looking out of the camera, you don't see your character, and you have a gun. But you know, this really doesn't. This is not the same as like Call of Duty or even, you know, Doom or anything like that. And even something like Half-Life is a very different game than like a Call of Duty game or something. Because, you know, I don't want to go on a rant here. Well, that's a lie. I always want to go on a rant. The genre system for video games is completely fucked up. There's no two ways about it. It is completely nonsensical. We do not know how to classify video games. I mean, when you look at movies, we classify movies based on the experience or the emotional engagement that you're going to get from them. A movie is a comedy because it's going to make you laugh. A movie is an action movie because it's going to get you pumped up and it's going to be tense and exciting. You know, and a movie is a horror movie because, you know, it's going to, you know, disempower and isolate characters and scare, you know, basically, you know, might not even have a happy ending. Right? I mean, that's how we classify movies, and that makes sense because when you're picking a movie based on the emotional experience you want to have. Now, as much as I will admit that the mechanics are a part of your gaming experience, they are not the totality of the gaming experience. In this case, the fact that I am I'm looking out of the camera, I'm looking out of Samus's face, and firing a gun in no way changes the fact that this game is about exploration more than it is about action, more than it is about combat, you know? It's just, it's absurd. I mean, we're talking about a classification system that, you know, we have RPGs, or, you know, Western RPGs and Japanese RPGs. And how batshit insane is that? I mean, something went really wrong when the country of origin is actually part of the genre. I think these are the... Oh, shit, Shadow Pirates, right. These are the stealth-enabled cloaking pirates, and now that I have the thermal visor, they're a lot easier to deal with. Though they do move around a little bit too quickly for the ice beam, and the ice beam doesn't seem to be freezing them at all. They're... one-hit kill, huh? Alright. So now I'm hoping I can actually make it through this whole sequence without getting killed. Yeah, see, Darabim says the genre of this game would be exploration. Oh, and yeah, someone brought up action, I think it was Darabim again, brought up action-adventure. What a useless genre. But you know what? Actually, beyond action-adventure, let's just say adventure is a useless genre. What the hell is an adventure game? Go on Steam and browse adventure games, and what do you get? You get, you know, you get everything from like Far Cry to, you know, Telltale's point-and-click games. Oh, right. Okay, so these are new enemies, by the way, since I am playing a game here. These are the Wave Troopers. They're actually the first of 4 different space pirate soldiers. And the story is that they have been reverse engineering Samus's weapons and trying to incorporate them into their own weapon systems. Which... now this is really weird. Okay. So, according to the scan, they are using a wave beam as their weapon. But because of flaws in their reverse engineering, they are also vulnerable to the wave beam. It is not that they have incorporated the wave beam into their armor. The weapon that they're firing is actually supposed to be the wave beam. But for whatever crazy reason, the actual graphical effect looks like the same yellow bolt of light that all of the space pirate weapons just sort of fire off. Which kind of makes that a little bit unclear. It almost looks like... it looks like they should be shielded against the wave beam. And then, you know, like... and vulnerable to every other weapon. But... I don't know why they didn't give them some sort of wave beam animation, or some sort of electrical, or some sort of purple attack animation. Which would have made the whole thing a little bit clearer. And obviously I'm gonna then encounter, you know, power pirates and ice pirates, who are going to have the same basic flaw. And I honestly kind of like that they put doors in the ceiling sometimes. And then these are just normal generic pirates, just hanging out here. And now we're actually in one of their lab areas, and I think there is some actual scan data here that I want. Maybe not. There we go. And Darabim is asking if I can scan the invisible pirates. Yes, I can, but I actually already have. A few of them showed up back in the Fendrana research area. So now we start to see that in addition to... oh, hello, Moody334. Also, Dark Shadow Rogue wandered in, and Rings D&D wandered in. Hello there, guys. Sorry, I wasn't being very attentive. I was ranting. But now from this scan data, we start to discover that in addition to everything else, these space pirates are also experimenting on their own, infusing them with Phazon. And we can see one of their specimens in here. And actually, interestingly enough, that the specimen... He's got, that stasis tank has a bendesium alloy. So, we haven't been able to get through bendesium just yet. So we're still looking for the upgrade that'll let us get in there. And again, I keep getting change weapon and change visor confused. That has been going on for the whole game, and I don't think at this late stage of the game I'm actually... Alright, I'm trying to do my normal charge, stun them and then missile them, but they are actually immune to missiles because missiles are not wave beam. However, they are not immune to the wave buster. I just don't feel like wasting all the missiles on them that the wave buster uses up. Rings D&D says ranting is what they pay me for. Yeah, well, I haven't received any of those checks yet, so, you know, maybe check the address that you're sending them to. I also like these scans. You start to see a lot more of these now, which are talking about Samus gradually ripping apart the space pirates' facilities and infiltrating their operations. I really like this sort of ongoing and sort of growing panic that the space pirates display about Samus. And this is the second new type of pirate. This is the... I'm trying to get a good scan on him here. This is the Power Trooper. Again, supposedly using my power beam against me. And he is vulnerable to super missiles, because super missiles are actually a power beam effect and not a missile. As we discussed like 2 sessions ago when I really ran out of interesting things to say. So meanwhile here, this is a neat little puzzle. So this is a industrial mining laser. And there's all these sections of wall scattered around the room. So what we do is we go over here and use the spinner device to spin it into position. And then we can activate the laser, and it'll cut through the wall for us. And actually behind one of the sections of wall, there is a hidden power-up. If you're obsessive like I am, the first time you did this, you basically blasted every section of wall, which is a little bit time-consuming. You also can actually... what the hell, I'll show it off. You actually can shoot yourself with the laser, I believe. Oh, no, it aims too high. For some reason I thought you could blast yourself. So we line it up all the way around here. Activate it. And behind that section of wall we have, you know, a naturally occurring missile deposit that was just in the ore of the planet. because that's how it happens. Like, I understand the whole, the whole story that the Chozo were, hiding all these power-ups because they knew Samus was going to come and save their planet someday, and she would need them. But at the same time, like, could you imagine being the Chozo who was, like, who was assigned to go and, like, seal up all these missiles in like, these underground walls and everything? What do we got? Power troopers. Man, I am taking a lot of hits while I try to decide what weapon to use here, huh? Alright, and now we have the spider ball track puzzle. That's what they were mining for, missiles. I'm glad that this explains that the hologram represents the central pillar of the room. I never would have put that together. But so what you can see is that there's a blue track, a red track, and a yellow track going up around this 3-sectioned pillar. And each one of them will let you off at a different level if you line them up properly. So we line up the blue one first. And you kind of just have to look at the room and see where the tracks led off. See where that little blue section is. And that lets us climb a little bit higher up into the room. And now if we look up to the third level, or the second level, we can see that red section is over there off to the left. So we'll line up the red section to connect. And then we go back down to the bottom floor. And line up the bottom red section. Mad Adventure just typed out look, Barry, in 3,000 years, this Samus chick is going to is going to save our descendants. Just go stick this missile launcher in the lava over there and shut up. That's pretty much how I imagined that it went down, you know? The one Chozo asking, why aren't we using this for ourselves? Oh. Meanwhile, the pirates are trying to figure out why it takes me so long to engage them, why I just stand there and take 6 or 7 shots to the forehead before I figure out while I'm fiddling with the controls on my suit to figure out which beam to turn on. Whoops. Oh, the camera. Yeah, okay, I handled that well. Nailed it! And now, actually, the Phazon Mines is divided into 3 different floors, 3 different levels. So now I'm going down to the 2nd level, and looking out the window, you can actually see the impact crater where the meteor hit, and the Chozo Temple suspended above it that we went back to oh so long ago. This area of the game also introduces the explosive crates. They have good stuff in them, but if you're standing too close to them, they will damage you. Why the ice beam sets off explosives, I do not know. But there you have it. We've got a hidden power up here. You can explosive crate there. And if I set it off, it also blows up a pirate that was hiding in the vent, waiting to ambush me. Which, now, so these tunnels were built by the pirates. So one wonders how that missile expansion got there. Clearly the Chozo didn't put it there. Alright. Alright, and now we have our first sub-boss fight. The Elite Pirate. Our first sub-boss fight in the Phazon Mines. So this is the Elite Pirate, which is a pirate, a Phazon enhanced pirate, which has the ability to absorb your weapons, and then it spreads out a concussive beam. And on its back, it also has this plasma beam weapon that is separately scannable. That you can target with the thermal visor, because it has a very high heat signature. But to be totally honest, there's absolutely no point in doing that, because the Elite Pirate is actually kind of a pushover. Two super missiles to the face, and he's done. And honestly, if you sit there and try to blow up the plasma weapon off of its back and then kill it, it takes much longer, and you end up taking a lot of damage. Who's firing? Oh. This is the third in the quartet of new pirates. The Ice Trooper. Armed with ice weapon technology that's supposed to be an ice beam it's firing. Its armor is vulnerable to ice, blah, blah, blah. I find these ones particularly annoying because I really dislike using the ice beam. Again, because of the slow rate of fire. You can't shatter them with missiles because they're immune to missiles. But one powered up ice shot does freeze them, and then a second one kills them. If you took a lot of damage from the Elite Pirate, these guys can knock you out if you're not expecting them. Which, this is one of the more annoying sections of this gauntlet here. And now I just don't want to miss any vital scans here, because I don't want to end up having to come back. So here we go. Yeah, so this one refers to the fall of Zebes. I like that they refer to Samus as the Hunter, and they keep talking about the Hunter in all of these logs and what the Hunter is doing. It's a really neat moment of empowerment as you read these things, because they're talking about you. Oh, and this one talks about the whole the containment field around the impact crater. Which kind of sets up... There's actually a little bit of a plot hole in one of the scans that gets set up. So the deal is, right, this crater that had... Or the meteor that had phase... Oh, this... Wait, this is a funny log entry. I love this. So science team is attempting to reverse engineer Samus Aran's arsenal, based off of data acquired from her assaults on our forces. Progress is slow, but steady. Command would dearly enjoy turning Aran's weapons against her. We believe we can implement beam weapon prototypes in 3 cycles. Aran's power suit technology remains a mystery, especially the curious morph ball function. All attempts at duplicating it have ended in disaster. 4 test subjects were horribly broken and twisted when they engaged our morph ball prototypes. Science team wisely decided to move on afterward. I absolutely love that entry. That right there makes all of the scanning in the entire game worth it. just picturing the one space pirate like being folded in half, screaming, "Ah, turn it off! Turn it off! Turn it off!" Crunch. Oh, okay. So this is... I can't go anywhere further. And because I don't have the scan visor in morph ball mode, I just get that little pop-up message that like, nope, you need whatever takes care of Bendesium. You'll figure it out, champ. Alright, so let's... And if you're really obsessed with reading all the scans, the Phazon Mine is where the scanning stuff gets really ridiculous again. You know, there was kind of a lull in it for a while, but now it's like, okay, stop and read all of the computer logs. And again, I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going for the vital scans, the ones that end up in the oh, holy shit. Damn it, there's like 4, 5, 6 of them here. Alright. There have been numerous incidents involving spectral entities at the Chozo... Oh yeah, okay, we've been running into Chozo ghosts. Survivors speak of swift attacks from nowhere, brief sightings, then nothing. Science team believes these attacks are in response to our efforts to recover Chozo relics. Somehow these entities are able to interact with the physical world. We will make them pay for such arrogance. Even ghosts can be destroyed. I love that entry, too. I really love the Space Pirates, honestly. Analysis continues on these cursed ruins and the Chozo temple that hovers near them. I like the fact that they're growing increasingly frustrated. The containment field... Yeah, okay, we're not going to go through all of this. I'm just going to advance it pretty quick. Because, so here's the deal, right? So the meteor with the Phazon hits the planet, and the Phazon starts spreading through the planet's crust, mutating the life forms. The Chozo build this temple in an attempt to contain the disaster using mystical Chozo artifact energy magic bullshit, you know, as they do. And you know, so they're containing it, and the Space Pirates, they want to get to the rich ore deep in the heart of the impact crater, but they can't get around these or around the containment field without these 12 artifacts that you eventually have to collect. And the reason they're interested in it is not so much the Phazon ore, because they've been digging all around and getting it from around the sides of the impact crater and everywhere else. The thing is that they have detected a very, very powerful, dangerous creature in the heart of the impact crater that seems to produce or feed off Phazon or something. Things are a little confused as far as that is concerned. But they want to capture and weaponize this creature. Oh, meanwhile, I get locked into the poisonous ventilation area. And I think we're getting close to the end of this long gauntlet now. If you hang out here, you will get poisoned. You can see, or, you know, you will gradually take damage. The ventilation units are offline. But there's nothing you can do in here for now except flee out this door into the next pirate lab area. I'm guessing wave again. Yeah, ha, got it right in one. Surprise, I had the right weapon ready. Alright, every time Samus attacks us, she fiddles with her gun and her visor for 5 minutes while we shoot at her. So let's just spring out and start shooting. Oh god, she was ready for us! And power troopers down below. Whoops, and I fell. I got a little too close to the edge and just fell right off. I like to actually just assassinate them from above. Ooh, 2 in 1. And again, the surprise is completely ruined by the fact that they have their theme song going. Alright, so let's go back up to the top level. Because this is sort of the procedure again, if you want to play with the scans, is you go, you clear the room of all the enemies, then you check for anything scannable. There's actually a lot of neat little scans, and if I could remember which ones they were from the ones that are just bland and science-y, I would point them out. But there's all these scans also about, you know, if you can't, so they're elite trooper rations are for elite troopers only, and if you eat elite trooper rations, you will have your rations cut for like a decacycle or something, which I guess is 10 days or 10 years or something. I don't know. This one they're talking about other Phazon pirates that they've been working on and how badass they are. Whoop, that wasn't just an optional one. It's a little bit trickier too because of my capture card, the colors on my TV are a little bit washed out, and so it's sometimes a little bit hard for me to tell the orange from the red. And this cryogenic pod is damaged, and the guy inside is actually dead. So there's that. And there's the exit. Oh. Man, they're just keeping these elite pirates everywhere, huh? They just do not have enough space for them. They need some more closets. Okay. And here we are now at the end of this run. And at, I guess, what you would call the boss of the area. And the boss of the area is, amusingly enough, completely invisible and cannot even be scanned. He is the only... You could target him a little bit more easily with the thermal visor, but he occasionally flares it to knock it out. He is actually an invisible cloaked drone, and because of that, he is actually extremely vulnerable to the Wave Buster and kind of a pushover. And now we get to their central dynamo, which actually has been mentioned a few times. Like, if you're reading every little bit of scanning, they've been talking about this central dynamo malfunctioning, and they're going to take it offline because they've been switching over to geothermal power, which is why they have all the power plants down in Magmore caverns. And like, if you really pay attention, you really have the whole history of their operation here. And of course, part of the problem is they're letting water get into their electrical gritty thing. And, you know, this most people don't realize it, but this is actually how most modern power plants work, is at the center of every power plant, there is a morph ball maze. This is the only way to get power out of the power plant and into the power lines. So, this is completely scientifically accurate. And the heart of the central dynamo is actually powered by Samus's power bomb. Like you do.